Hello, everybody. Broadcasting to you live from the spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, that I will not elaborate on further for reasons of security and therefore insecurity, as my friend John B. Wells would say. But nice reminder, I do need to book John B. Wells. Haven't talked to him in quite some time. Puts on a great show over there. But my name's Brian Engelman. That guy over there is Blake Walley. And today is Thursday, November the 14th. My God, it's like we're already halfway through another month. This month just started. Blake, has time been moving faster for you? Pause on that, think about the answer, but I just want to say this is the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media. Thank you all for joining us. Follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X, and his archive is thenextlevelnews.com. And if you do appreciate independent journalism, you can find him on Cash App at $ Blake W99. Blake, what say you to the answer to that question?
Yeah, and things are flying by. Yeah, it's been a busy news cycle. Got a lot going on. So, I suppose relatively, it does seem like it's going by very quickly.
It really does. It really does. This month just started and we're 14 days into it. I'm like, how did 2 weeks elapse? But I mean, look, it's been a great week. Blake, you and I have talked often about, I don't want to do this job. Why am I would rather just, I've said it before, like, I've enjoyed civilian life, working in jobby jobs. And, I run the New American Media and I do special reports. I'll go to special events. I'll make special segments. I run the groups and I'll crank out some original content. But what's the point? When YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, when nobody will allow your content to be seen by the people, the thousands and thousands, the millions of views, when people aren't allowed to even see your content, it's like, well, why even bother? So, I don't mind working in a normal life and then communicating how I do with the groups of people that I've been communicating with for 13 years with the New American Media. But you and I, we both had to activate a couple of years ago because this Obama doctrine with this Joe Biden puppet thing that we've been living through for the past 4 years has been, I guess, Orwellian. And we look at England, they're getting arrested. They have their Gestapo going door to door if they don't like what you posted on social media. Thank God Elon Musk came in and bought X, saved it from the trash heap of history. So at least there's X along with Truth Social now, Donald Trump's website that we are on. Follow us on Truth Social. We're on X at American_media_.
You're not going to shut down and go to Blue Sky?
Well, let's talk about Blue Sky. What's the question?
Well, did you set up an account there? I don't know. I have no idea. I hate Threads already. I keep getting alerts from them, even though I don't use it. And what happened to Mastodon? I don't know. I see a lot of leftists. They're like fleeing to their little safe spaces. They can't handle it. But I couldn't imagine leaving a platform for not, I don't know, promoting my views or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's frustrating to use some of those platforms because it's not an even playing field, like especially Meta or how Twitter used to be. So I could see why we started Truth Social, because we weren't even allowed to talk. We were all, shadow banned, censored, what have you. But I mean, some of these leftists that have big accounts, I mean, like Joy Reid is one of the big ones today. I think she had almost 2 million followers, just left and went to Blue Sky. I mean, good for her. I can't stand her anyway. So it's nature healing. Twitter
nature is healing, my man. But what I was saying in the beginning, I kind of went off track and I forgot to finish introducing the show and got to a question of the day and I pivoted. But I was saying that you and I activated because everything was collapsing, falling apart. And it's like, we're entering an Orwellian dystopia. And so you and I activated, the power rings that we got out of the cereal box, like we activated like the Power Rangers or something. And we had to go kind of defend this great country. As Ronald Reagan said, freedom is not a guaranteed birthright that's passed along through your DNA. I'm paraphrasing. It has to be fought generation by generation. And look, the past week, this week has flown by. The past 14 days have flown by. But my God, Blake, can you remember where you were mentally 2 weeks ago prior to knowing that Trump won conclusively? Trump won the popular vote. He's got the Senate. He got the House. I mean, it's a night and day difference, right? The vibes.
Oh yeah, it's totally calmed down. At least, from my standpoint, because I was concerned, like, oh my God, here we go again. There's going to be this contentious election, and we're not allowed to criticize what we saw or question the results or ask for transparency. And they're going to run the same playbook, and we're just going to have to accept it. And now, what are we doing? Are we bracing for civil war? Are we going to face retaliation from these people? Now they've got power for 4 years, so they're going to start targeting their political enemies even more.
Because they have been targeting their enemies a ton already.
Right. But their enemy list consists of innocent people. Yeah. Like if the leftists had won, they'd be coming after everybody. That's what's terrifying about how high stakes that was. But now they can calm down. I don't care. We don't care if you were brainwashed by the legacy media. But I mean, yeah, I can't say the same thing about Kamala Biden and the things that they would have done. They would have absolutely probably destroyed Elon and Trump and everybody else. It was just. It would have been bad for this country.
I saw a comment from Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian Convention, and she said something on Instagram or Facebook or something. And she said, I made a deal to save a person's life, and for that, I have no regrets. And there was a lot of comments underneath. And I commented, I said, I think you're talking about Ross Ulbricht to get him out of prison. I go, but let's not forget all of the lives that are going to be saved when these stupid wars are stopped, when dad comes home and dad's pissed. When dad comes home and he's pissed off and mom has primed him for something these kids have been up to, making her last 3 hours a living hell, the belt comes off. Dad comes home and slams the door. And it's time to address what shit you've been up to. The wars in Ukraine, the Middle East, this shit is going to stop. Theoretically, you've seen it. You've seen about 20 different press releases that seem to indicate that this stuff is going to be wrapped up rather quickly. Fingers crossed. We shall see.
There's some red flags on that front, which I do have an issue with. We'll get to that. So that's not completely clear. We're not completely out of the woods. It might change some of the stuff, but yes, there's good news, bad news, and we'll just cover it all like we see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way we see it is that we've been rudderless. I see it as the fact that we've been rudderless as a nation for the past 4 years, and dad's coming home and he's pissed, and some things are going to start making a lot more sense really quick. Larry Fletcher, thanks for joining us in the chat room. By the way, if you're watching us on Facebook, jump over to YouTube. We're streaming live, or on X at American_media_. You can catch Blake at TV's Blake Walley as well. Larry says, watching the left squirm is glorious. You've known Larry for a while, right? That sounds like something Larry would say.
Yeah, definitely. Larry's been around for a few years. We appreciate his support.
Absolutely. Larry's also an Ohio sports fan, which I appreciate. Programming note, we'll be on at a special early time with, could I call him TV's Mike Barra, the Ancient Aliens guy? We're going to be doing Strictly Football coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern instead of 5 p.m. Eastern. Today, our 11th episode, Blake. Man, your Vikings are doing good. My Cleveland Browns suck. His Seahawks are kind of crappy, but better than the Browns. But yeah, your Vikings are the best among all three of our teams. Who would have saw that coming?
Yeah, I figured it's 5 to 10 wins, and I didn't know what to make of it, so it's better than expected.
Absolutely.
Cool. It's always nice to see, I suppose. Sorry about your Browns.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Larry has a Cincinnati Reds thing on his logo on his profile, rather. I'm a big Ellie De La Cruz fan. I invested in him heavily. I believe in him. He's the most exciting player in baseball in a long time. Larry's just saying, imagine the results.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, Brian, how do you like sucking the teat of the Jew?
Wow.
Wow, that was intense. Where'd that come from?
That was out of left field.
Thank you, Hod, for the
Hod or Hode. Wow. Yeah, that's way to keep us on track there, whatever that was. Larry was saying, imagine what the results would have been without the massive voter fraud that still existed. Yeah, look, the SAVE Act is sitting there. The Republicans theoretically have the House and the Senate. Theoretically, it seems like there is already an internal coup appearing. Perhaps we shall see how it shakes out, trying to block the Trump agenda from happening. But yeah, the SAVE Act and going to make President's Day the voting day. Everybody gets the day off. President's Day is now the day that you vote. November 3rd, 4th, pick a day, whatever. Paper ballots. I don't know if the Democrats would ever win another election if they don't get to ram through these mega numbers in the big blue cities. I don't believe the numbers that are coming out of any of those cities. Wisconsin, we saw that 4 a.m. ballot jump, 90,000 votes, and 90% were for the Democrats. Surprise, surprise. Look what happened again.
Yep.
Now, Kerry Lake is going to lose 2 straight elections. Get the fork out of here. I don't believe it for a second. So, yeah, Larry, imagine the results, what they would have been without what's going on there. And a final note, by the way, thank you for that, Larry Fletcher. He's also a Cavalier fan. Check out our recent episode of the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Get it on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thenewamericanmedia. And yeah, we did a special episode with Zach Barris talking about the 12-0 Cavaliers, now the 13-0 Cavaliers. Blake, the Cavs become only the 6th team in NBA history to start 13-0. They look phenomenal. I know you traded away Karl Anthony Towns up there in Minnesota. Have you been following the NBA so far? Do you wager on the NBA? I know you wager on the NFL.
Yeah, I do like to I like the player prop bets, and I'm not promoting gambling for anybody just out there. I'm an experienced bettor. I lived in Vegas for a long time, and I generally keep these $10, $20 bets. I'm not going nuts. It's just fun entertainment for me. Yes, so I do like basketball. Over the last few years, I've changed my tune because I used to not like basketball at all. I used to be like a baseball maximalist. Now I love football. It's a guilty pleasure because I hate all the injuries. But I do love football. I also like, I've been a fair weather Timberwolves fan. So now that they finally assembled a good team, I'm like, wow, basketball is fun to watch when your team is good. And now we have some exciting players. It sucks that they had to lose Karl Anthony Towns. I get it. It was just too expensive. Couldn't take the contract. And it was best to go in a different direction. It sucks. It really does. But here we are. They still have a competitive team. They still have a very good team, not as strong as the top 5, but depth-wise, I think they'll be fine, and they'll make the playoffs, and we'll see what happens there. But I like the direction they're going in. And I like Tim Connolly, the GM. Anyway, we're not going to talk too much about sports, but yes, Timberwolves are cool.
I got to have Blake on for the Unhappy Hour one of these days. You haven't been on a lot of Unhappy Hours, probably a couple over the last many, many years. Usually when sports and politics intervene, when they overlap, and quite often, remember, the Obama doctrine is to infiltrate every area of life and make it miserable on your political opponents. That's the Obama doctrine we will always remember. We voted that down with Joe Biden. We voted that down with his second puppet, Kamala Harris. We're done with the Obama doctrine, thankfully. Maybe we can just make sports again. I want to make a hat, make sports again. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later, I suppose. But for now, we're going to go over these following stories. We're going to talk about the PolyMarket CEO who was raided by the feds. We're going to talk about InfoWars being sold off to guess who. And by the way, it didn't go like a normal auction goes. Normally, you know how an auction goes. This one didn't. We'll talk about it. Also, coming up at Thanksgiving, Blake, what's your favorite thing to eat at Thanksgiving? Do you have like any recipes? Do you make the food? Is there a certain side dish that you prefer? Like, what's a family recipe that you can't live without? Do you deep fry the turkey? You got the cranberry thing with like the Jello mold and the like that whipped cream, whatever that thing is, the cream cheese filling.
You know the thing.
The thing, come on, man, you know the thing.
I do cook Thanksgiving, but it's relatively simple. It's just turkey in the roasting pan. Got to get it turns out great. My favorite is, of course, the stuffing, but it's got inside the bird. That's the best. Oh,
stuffing inside the bird to soak up all of that stuff. I'll tell you what,
that's my favorite.
Well, let's do this. Let me clear out this story that I pulled up in the stack just to mention.
What about you, Brian? What is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
I think I started describing it, that jello-y cranberry with the
pineapple. Do you put celery and stuff in it?
It's got the whipped cream and the cream cheese blended filling with maybe pecans or maybe walnuts or maybe all sorts of different things that could go on top. Oh, I love that thing. You cut it into squares. You go
recipe. I don't
know. You go, only one more square of this. And you cut one more square. And you go, oh. You open the fridge and it's still there. You're like, all right, hold on. I'll maybe cut a smaller square out of that square. And then you open it up again 5 minutes later. You're like, fine, I'll finish the square, but that's it. Like the whole thing is gone so fast. I got to really be careful.
I don't know what that is, Brian. This is a family recipe. This is not a common dish.
Oh yeah, it is.
What is it called?
It's called
the Engelman Family Special.
Engelman Family Dessert. Yes,
Right.
It is my favorite. But I digress. I love that thing. I love the candied yams. I like when the brown sugar and you have the marshmallows kind of toasted, almost like an oven s'more.
Do you make the food, Brian?
I mean, I have. I know for many years I had. Here's the thing I did. I for many years in a row when I lived in Los Angeles, my lodge would buy turkeys like the day after Thanksgiving when they're very cheap. You get them at Costco and they're like kind of blowing them out to get rid of anything they didn't sell. So we'd buy them for pennies on the dollar. And then everybody would go home and cook their own bird. I mean, all night. I mean, it takes 14 hours, however long it takes a long time to defrost. And then you got to cook it. And then you got to let it settle. Then you got to cover it. Then you got to take it up to the lodge. And it all goes to like the midnight mission. And so all of these turkeys would be donated to turn in, cut and separated into all of these Thanksgiving Day meals. I would always cook that. And there's nothing more tantalizing, blue ballish, if I may be so randy as to use the phrase, to smell turkey cooking all day and not consume said turkey. You smell it all day. I mean, you're basting it with butter and it's browning gently. And it's just like the whole house, it has those smell lines that and you just drift from room to room smelling it like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And then you just turn around and wrap it in foil and take it in your blazer up to the lodge. And you don't even eat the thing. So I would cook that. And that's an exercise in restraint, pain, sadomasochism. I don't know, all of those things. But yeah, I don't know. I can cook, but I know my dad used to do the deep fried turkey a lot. That's how we kind of settled in for the last 20, 30 years or so, 25 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that'd be cool. I haven't, never tried that.
Yeah, the deep fried turkey and the peanut oil was pretty cool as well. I'll tell you what, let's just start with with that story since we're talking about it, but I just want to clear this one. Guardian is saying that they're no longer going to post on Elon Musk's X platform from its official accounts. Look at that. Grandmaster says the Guardian's leaving X. Congratulations. You're going from being an irrelevant media to an irrelevant and forgotten media. Smart decisions. Any thoughts on that?
I can't even imagine it. Even if you're just putting out trash, legacy media garbage from 51 intelligence agents or whatever, why wouldn't you use Twitter if you've already got a built-in following? Plus they can make ad revenue. I don't understand that.
It's really weird. And just imagine having a backlash against Elon. I don't know. Doing some of the most interesting stuff on earth, saving free speech. I just imagine having a problem with that.
Even if I would actually enjoy being behind enemy lines and it was predominantly like leftists, but I could say what I want and not be shadow banned. I mean, within reason. I'm not saying I should just go hardcore, just yelling at people. But I mean,
you mean like the guy in the chat room about sucking on stuff? Thanks for that.
Well, no, that's just mindless troll. That isn't even really on topic at all or on target by any means. I don't know.
You would like being behind. You would take the old Twitter if we just were permission to speak freely, permission granted. Yeah, that's what America's supposed to be.
Well, I have confidence in my opinions. Yeah. So I would love to be behind enemy line. I'd like to be in front of a whole crowd. Give me 1,000 people. I'll sit here and have that conversation as long as I'm not like danger of being attacked or something. I'm comfortable with my opinions and on the issues that I'll have that conversation anywhere, anytime. But I think if they always knew that they're losing, they want to get out of there. And some of them, I think they've taken so much abuse. And I don't even say it's really that bad of abuse. People are just calling them out on their BS.
Mm-hmm. As they should.
After a while, they don't have any way to respond to that. So they're just like, fine, I'm just going to get out of here.
I'm going to take my bad ideas and go. I'm taking my basketball and going home.
Yeah, so they can sit in their own echo chamber and smell each other's farts, I guess. I don't know. It's
an ever shrinking echo chamber of lunacy. All the cool kids, all the normal kids have gone over to MAGA. They're like, I would like to make this country great. I don't know what you guys are doing with your constant Obama doctrine, policies of division and hatred, but we've moved past it, thank God. We're going to look back at the Obama era as one of the darkest times in American history, because he learned early on as a community agitator, organizer, that you can shake people down a la Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton by making all sorts of gross accusations. And
Saul Alinsky's playbook, right out of the Communist Manifesto. Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. That's who he is. That's who he's always been.
Piven.
Right.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
It's
always been an agitator and a divider. Yep.
He embraced it, and now America has twice rejected it, because we did reject Joe Biden pretty thoroughly. We did reject Puppet 2 Kamala Harris. We're done. We ain't playing it anymore. And man, these appointments are coming in hot and heavy. Okay, we will pivot and start today's show, the Agree to Disagree Show. All right, let's just start on Thanksgiving since we started talking about it. It's not the most important topic of the day, but it is in the stack, so I think we should discuss it. By the way, Blake, how did you like the preparation for today's show, where I tagged you on about 50 things? Like, hey, Blake Walley and I can talk about this on today's episode of the Agree to Disagree Show. I was trying to pre-promote the show to get more people to follow it on X, and then they can have a preliminary idea of what's on tap that we're going to cover. Working on it.
Me, I'm weird, and I'm in my own little introverted world, and I don't like to be interrupted by anything. But it's all good. I understand it. It's part of the biz. So
yes, sir. Definitely putting the work in. Let's talk about what is going to happen at Thanksgiving, since we were discussing all of our favorite treats there. It has been recently suggested that families should ban Trump supporters from Thanksgiving. Would you agree or disagree, Blake? Talking about being behind enemy lines, what's Thanksgiving like for Blake up in Minnesota, eh?
I don't know. Remember, I told you when I was at the RNC in Milwaukee. So yeah, most of my family is not most, but a lot of them are in Minnesota, Twin Cities area, and we went to the RNC in Milwaukee, and I thought, hey, cool. I haven't been back home in like 4 years. And as the convention is over in Milwaukee and I'm taking my 5-hour drive to Minneapolis, I get a phone call. I don't know, about an hour away, and basically like a directive, like not to talk about politics. Not that I had any intention at all. I was just like, oh, cool, I get to go see my family. And then I get that call, like, please don't say anything, this and that. I mean, I wanted to get off on the next exit and turn around back to Tennessee. I was like, I'm not having this. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Because the Obama doctrine, Blake, has been a doctrine of bullying your political opponents. The people who have been traditionally marginalized and made fun of in school, because let's face it, there's a lot of weird ideas from the people who have congregated on the far, 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 far left. They have now decided, now it's my turn to take revenge. It's my turn to retaliate. I'm in charge now. I get to bully you. And that's been the Obama doctrine ever since he hit the stage. It's been liberals, leftists, Democrats, however you want to phrase the Marxists, the Obamaites. They have just been hardcore attacking their political opponents with the justice system, with the alphabet agencies. And over Thanksgiving dinner, when you're looking for job applications, if you're FEMA trying to get some support in North Carolina, we'll cover that story right after this one. But like, it's been everywhere from these people. And I ran into the same thing. I went out to an event recently, a month or 2 or 3 ago, and I got the directive. I got pulled aside and was like, hey, all right, can you do me a favor and just not bring up politics with this person over here or with this person? It didn't. Now she didn't ask me this, but she did say that and it bothered her. And it's like, let it bother her. What do I care? I'm not going on and on. I'm not up in somebody's face. Like, Don't you want to hear about my tariff policy? Like, I got to tell you about tariffs and why you're wrong. Let's talk. Like, that's not what I've been, but I was treated that way. And I'm like, maybe I'll just leave this event. Maybe I don't want to be around you people. I had the same exact reaction you did.
Yeah, and it's sad. It didn't always used to be like that. Like, I guess we're kind of a mostly like liberals, Democrats in that family. And I grew up that way, but I don't think I've changed considerably in the last 20 years, but they have. And it's weird. It used to be back then, it was like, oh, your Fox News watching uncle's going to be at Thanksgiving. And I was like, oh, brother. But it's fine. It's like, oh, God, this is so stupid. And they're going to sit here and try to convince me that, like, these wars are going great, and, Cheney and Rumsfeld and the Patriot Act and this and that. And I found a lot of that stuff repulsive, but at the same time, I didn't like offend me. Like, I'd be happy to talk about it and, talk about how ridiculous their ideas were. But now I would never be like, oh, just don't say anything. I mean, it's changed so much. So the Democrats used to be free speech. It used to be, they have all the best, like, edgy comics, like a tell it like it is. It was usually the conservatives that hated the liberals for constantly mocking them. Like, they would have, if they had meme warfare in social media back in 2004, they would have just destroyed the Bush-Cheney administration. But now they're so, like, ultra sensitive to everything. They just want to, shut everybody down. And now they want to go leave and do their own platforms. So yeah. Don to Threads, and now it's Blue Sky. I don't know. I don't care. Fine. You can't handle it, then get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, good riddance. So you didn't turn around. You did go for the holiday. You did kind of see the crew, and yeah, I left that story hanging a little bit. Like, you felt like turning around. You didn't, but it really pissed you off. But you got through it, and there's just like animosity linger. You could feel it hanging in the air.
Yeah, it was weird, and I didn't get to see everybody. Like, there's some people I like, aunt, cousin that I would normally see, but, like, we haven't spoken in years. And anytime there's been any interaction, it's been some, like, hostility on Facebook or something, like something stupid. But, like, they just don't really even want me around in a way. And it's too bad. We've always gotten along well. It's not like I'm like a bad guy. I'm just, and I'm happy to just have a civil conversation about anything, but they don't want to have that. They don't want to hear it. So they just rather not have me around. And that sucks, because it's like, I haven't seen you guys in 4 years. We're all cool, and you can't handle it, because maybe there's going to be a political discussion, because they like to talk amongst themselves, and they'll go, oh my God, can you believe it? Trump supporter, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll go, well, wait a second. And as soon as like a little bit of pushback, then they start freaking out. Like, and then they just don't want to be around it. They have to be insulated in their own little bubble. So it's bizarre that
it's brain damage. It's been manipulation, brain damage. And for the love of God, Donald Trump, please, one of the very first things you have to do is repeal Smith-Mundt. You have to undo what Obama did. He unleashed the propaganda arms to go through the lying legacy media and the social media to silence and censor and shadow ban and downrank and demonetize all of his political opponents. That has to be day one. I haven't even heard people talking about it, which is concerning. Do you remember the website where we can suggest things, Blake? They started a new website where you can suggest government policy. Have you heard about that?
Is it something from Vivek and Elon? I don't know exactly, but I know they're going to be transparent, and they're going to have oversight, and it'd be great if they could get, feedback on the people on various policies would be great.
Yeah, I need to recommend the two things: make President's Day the voting day and make it a national holiday, paper ballots, mix that with the SAVE Act. Second thing is just, you got to repeal Smith-Mundt. Or I think Smith-Mundt was passed to stop the U.S. from engaging in propaganda domestically, and then the repeal of Smith-Mundt blocked it, and then Obama unleashed ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and even friggin' Fox on the rest of the normal country that didn't want any of their radical Marxist agendas. Let's talk about what they had to say on The View here, getting back to Thanksgiving and having mostly civil conversations behind enemy lines, here, there, or anywhere. Larry was saying in the comments that he likes ham for Thanksgiving. I like it here. I like it there. I would like it anywhere. Ham I am. Let's talk about what the ladies of The View had to say, because wow, if you could always get a parody opinion on life, just tune into The View. They never disappoint.
Yeah, it's awful show, and now they're more divisive than ever, I suppose. Whoopi Goldberg has advised viewers of the show they still left to shun their own relatives if they voted for Trump. I'm not going to play any of this, but they say they understand her point because they feel this candidate, President Trump, is a different type of candidate. Some moral issues, blah, 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 flawed characters and morality, certain things you don't put your family in. So it might be tension at the Thanksgiving table. So it's ridiculous. And we'll pull up some of this creepy guy, Rick Taylor, saying his aunt called about the Thanksgiving plans. And during the conversation, she mentioned she voted for Trump. But he says, I told her my home is not open to traitors, and I would not go to theirs. I have no space in my life for those who could care less about the United States. This is a guy who I think ran for Congress in Ohio, or maybe he is or he was. I'll have to pull up this tweet again. But yeah, he seems to think he's pro-Constitution, so he can't exist with the pro-Trump people. But yeah, there's a lot of this going on. Another one I thought was disturbing. Jesse Waters, even. He says his mother refused to invite him over for Thanksgiving. Maybe we can run this clip.
Yeah, people are taking some space in the waters.
Sorry, he had his face twisted to the corner like, wah, wah, ready to...
Yep. Oh, there's a joyless Reed there.
Yep, people are taking some space in the Waters household. I'll have you know that I was not invited to my mother's house for Thanksgiving. Apparently, there wasn't enough room. She said it was a scheduling situation, and then at the last second invited me to come over on Black Friday. I told her, no thanks, I'll be at Best Buy. Yep, people are taking...
I mean, that almost sounds like something that could happen to my family, too. But like, hey, Blake, I'm sorry, we don't have room this year. Like, what the hell? I can't understand that. So I've seen...
How much of a blessing, though? How much of a blessing in disguise is this turning into? Because, I mean, you're seeing this 4B movement. Ladies are trying to swear off sex. I mean, thank you. I don't know. Thanks. I shared a meme on Instagram, the New American Media. Follow us on Instagram. We're low-key awesome on Instagram, even though they downrank all of our stuff. In the morning, you'll see all of our shared stories at the top of the screen, and then when we occasionally drop you a direct post, they're money. But it was a picture of Tim Walz doing his terrified, like somebody opened up the door in high school face, and he's there with someone he shouldn't be. And it says, the face you make when you realize that, oh, geez, to paraphrase it, there's something about the Planned Parenthood is losing their best customers. And so it's all the abortion advocates that aren't going to be having abortions because they're not having sex. And it's like, wow, society is really righting itself right now. It's amazing how things have balanced in nature since this election, for sure. All right, so that's the ant over there. Did you have anything else to add on the Thanksgiving front?
Nope. So yeah, this is a former Democratic candidate for the U.S. Senate from Ohio. And so, yeah, people are calling him out. Yeah, that's Scott Pressler saying this is why Trump won. Hope thousands of independent voters read this. Yeah, it just shows you how angry and divisive the left has become, where they're going to, instead of just being like, oh, well, we're going to have to listen to whatever crazy Fox News uncle to now you're not invited. Sorry. Nope, you're a traitor. I mean, they've lost their minds. They lost the election, and now they don't know what to do. So they're just going to try to avoid any confrontations and avoid any humiliations, I suppose, rather than just saying, oh, maybe we were lied to. I didn't know. And it's not like I want to even rub it in. I'm not mad at them. I'm just trying to tell them, hey, you don't even have to believe me. Just stop believing your media because they've been gaslighting you and misleading you for a long time.
We can sort of be mad at them a little bit. I mean, come on. Like, the stuff they're believing has been proven to be incorrect all the time. And they keep going back to the people that are just abusing them. At some point, you have to blame the people that keep going back into the abusive situation. If you're going to consume MSNBC and CNN unironically, thinking you're getting who, what, where, when, why, when all you're getting is lies. Oh, 51 intelligence officials said that the Hunter Biden laptop had all of the classic earmarks of Russian propaganda. Bullshit. Oh, Trump's a Russian agent. Bullshit. Across the board, it's bullshit. I mean, we can feel anger toward the people that are continuing to misrepresent us intentionally. You cannot objectively look at what they consider to be news and reach a conclusion that we're the bad guy here. They are intentionally continuing down the path. Well, I can't admit I was wrong. You know what? Look, you have to look in the mirror and admit that you were wrong. And I do blame people for not having a moment of self-reflection. It's the Principal Skinner meme from The Simpsons. Now, am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. No, how about you are the one that's that out of touch? Principal Skinner, MSNBC, viewer, CNN consumer, Democrat voter. You are the one that's out of touch. And you're regurgitating things that are not accurate. Oh, he's a felon. He rapes women. He's taking away your rights. No. I mean,
yeah. Sounds like that lady I was arguing with. Yep.
I'm sorry, Blake, go ahead.
No, it sounds like that lady I was arguing with in Milwaukee, in the streets of Milwaukee. And she's sitting there with her bullhorn. She just wants to, scream over people that Trump's a rapist, blah, 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 and then you try talking to her, and then she won't let you get a word in. So
yeah. It's NPC territory.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears over here. We're going to run through the rest of our stories. We got about a solid half hour left, so we'll tear into them kind of high and tight here. Blake, this was a story kind of wrapping around. I know it kind of came out last week, but this thing was a conspiracy theory that FEMA was right to avoid Trump voters. Agree or disagree that FEMA was right to avoid Trump voters. But the situation is that this lady, what it was reported as, oh my God, can you believe MAGA? Now they're even saying that FEMA's avoiding people because of who they voted for. Get a load of these conspiracy theorists. Get a load of these election deniers. Oh my gosh, they're saying that FEMA's avoid. No, those Republicans are so dumb. Well, turns out we were right. We knew we were right. Now it's time for you to learn that we were right. So this right here, FEMA official, according to Daily Wire, you can hate them all you want, but this was a great story that got broken through them. I will give them their roses when it's due. FEMA official ordered relief workers to skip houses that had Trump signs. The blower says it's almost unbelievable to think that somebody in the federal government would think that that's okay. And that the New York Times like to frame this, Trump's false claims about the federal response to Hurricane Helene, that they're neglecting areas that voted for Republicans. Blake, we don't hate outlets like this nearly enough, do we? New York Times, Trump's false claims. You don't know that they're false claims, and to pass judgment on it and pretend that you know otherwise, there's no type of media that I dislike more than someone's calling somebody that they disagree with false claims.
Yeah, it's always like that with Trump. So he can never do anything right. They can never say anything remotely positive. It's always got to be spun in one direction, and then we just keep debunking their BS. And so they're hemorrhaging readers, and that's their own fault.
Saw here saying Trump is in the office. Yahoo! Saying, hey, bro, good afternoon. What's up? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, but this was the conspiracy theory, and it turned out to be true. By the way, don't check out our documentary. Blake, tell people about our documentary that you did such a great job editing together and filming and starring in and all of the jazz that you contributed in.
Yeah, it was a Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way is the name of it. It's a little mini doc that Brian and I put together. Brian arranged all of this stuff. So we did meet we had a little guided tour of North Carolina, some of those affected areas, and trying to I guess link up with other communities and get a supply chain going for people that needed help because they were kind of being abandoned by FEMA. So yes, we got to go to Virginia and meet up with Grizzly. He was gracious and showed us, kind of give us a little lay of the land and kind of give us, a little insider's account of what was happening there. So very interesting stuff, and they still need a lot of help because they have winter kicking in. So please go check that out if you can.
That'll be on YouTube. Blake, you got your YouTube. It's on your YouTube channel. Where is yours? Blake Walley? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, Blake Walley, or might be Eccentric Perspective. I'm not sure.
Check it out there, and also check it out, The New American Media on YouTube. And at the end, it has a donation link. We want to kind of sponsor the Grizzly family because TNAM viewers were able to help donate a significant number of funds, thankfully, and 100% went right to Grizzly and his crew, who are going in to deliver supplies and help out because it's about to get cold and they do need more help. The links are at the end of the bio. The documentary for Hurricane Helene, help on the way if you wanted to make a donation. But yeah, here this lady is in her own words trying to describe why she decided to not render aid to people through FEMA if they had Trump leanings. It's astonishing that this is where we are, but this is the Obama doctrine, and it got washed away with that flood. We're done with Obama and his divisive tactics. Here we go.
Notified after I demoted. The next morning, they told me verbally I was fired, but they never provided me anything in writing stating that I was fired. They all alleged that these actions were made on my own recognizances and that it was for my own political advances. However, if you look at the record, there is what we call a community trend. And unfortunately, it just so happened that the political hostility that was encountered by my team, and I was on 2 different teams during this deployment, they just so happened to have the Trump campaign signage. FEMA always preaches avoidance first and then de-escalation. So this is not isolated. This is a colossal event of avoidance, not just in the state of Florida, but you will find avoidance in the Carolinas. Senior leadership will lie to you and tell you that they do not know. But if you ask the DSA crew leads and specialists what they are experiencing in the field, they will tell you. Demand for FEMA to give you those incident reports. They will substantiate what is happening to us in the field.
And so, Blake, this is something that was rumored to be a conspiracy theory. Obviously, it is something that was legitimately happening. We took reports there. Even in the documentary, there were a lot of people that were telling a lot of stories that didn't want to be on camera, revealing all of the stories that we were getting. And, you know, for good reason, really. Multiple reports that it had almost turned into a hot conflict between the local firefighters, the local rescue agencies, the local militias, and the local police, compared to FEMA, who came in and tried to act like they run the area now. Oh, well, I'm from Washington, and this is my crime scene now. I'll be damned if I'm going to give up my investigation to you coming in from Washington. We've seen it in every Lethal Weapon movie, every cop movie, every Beverly Hills. Someone comes in and claims rank. And the stories we're getting is that it was almost turning hot. They were almost ready to start firing on each other because they were not going to be told by the feds, you cannot go over here and help people that need help. We're going to help people. You can work with us, but we do not work for you, FEMA. You're going to collaborate with us because we're on the ground and we're the ones that are responsible for these people. You don't come in here and tell us what we're going to do. And it almost turned very violent. So, I mean, just hearing what she had to say, that she encountered hostilities. Well, I wonder how they were approaching people, because the stories we got were that FEMA came in asking for trouble and they were starting to find it. They were messing around and they were starting to find out. And to just abandon people that had Trump flags and signs in their yard is just abhorrent during a national tragedy. Could you imagine ignoring wildfires in California because they're loony liberals? No, you help where you need to help. Oh, there's a huge calamitous earthquake on the San Andreas. They voted for Biden, or they voted for Harris. We're just going to let them suffer. They'll dig their way out, or it'll be a nice burial site. We don't do that, but they do that because that's the Obama doctrine of political persecution. So what do you have to say about the FEMA thing? And we'll move into some of the Trump appointments after that.
Yeah, I can get why they would get, some pushback and encounter some negativity with some of the Trump people, but that doesn't mean that you don't just ignore everybody else. A lot of people needed help, and I doubt that they were that mean. But yeah, if they come in there swinging their authority around and people weren't having it, that's not cool. So I think there's more to that, but yes, there's no grounds for trying to just completely avoid people, especially in need, just because of their political views. It's just no bueno. So she's got to go.
Absolutely. And just with new leadership in town, Dad's coming home and he's pissed. Just totally revamp all this stuff. Really excited to hear it. Okay, let's jump into the Trump nominations, shall we? All right. Yeah, that FEMA story, I meant to talk about that, on Tuesday, maybe even on Thursday, but it has kind of evolved. Do you think there's a little bit more to that story? And I'll keep following it because it's interesting how it unravels. I'm really interested to see who's punished and to what degree. Okay, Blake, agree, disagree that Matt Gaetz is the worst cabinet appointment in history? That doesn't sound hyperbolic at all. Agree or disagree, Matt Gaetz is the worst cabinet appointment in history?
Disagree, but that came from John Bolton, the former ambassador, the warmonger.
I'm again it.
Yeah, he says, they're calling for the weaponization of the DOJ against the political enemies. It's a headline from is this Newsweek, I believe. Yeah, it says John Bolton urging we'll get to that. So that's the next topic. Hold on, not getting ahead of myself. So
let's just play the clip.
Yeah, it calls the appointments of Tulsi and Matt Gaetz the worst cabinet level appointments in history.
Wow.
Who is this girl on CNN? She is so cute, but she never smiles.
Well, I thought it was the worst cabinet level appointment in history until they then heard about the Matt Gaetz appointment. Really, my reaction was that this is like the legend of Caligula, the Roman emperor, who wanted to nominate his horse as a Roman consul. You had to be a Roman senator at the time to be a consul, and it was intended to show how demeaned and degraded the Roman Senate had become. So now we're going to see whether the American Senate can stand up and reject two people who are totally unqualified, unfit professionally, and really lacking in the immoral characteristics, the character that you need to hold these jobs. I think this vote should be 100-0 against both of them.
And even
Oh, you do, Johnny. Okay, Johnny boy. It should be 100-0, Blake. You agree? Matt Gaetz is that bad, huh?
No, this is one of the ones I like the best.
Yeah.
Out of all the cabinet picks, this was a pleasant surprise. So I'm really happy to see Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General. I think that's going to be awesome. He's had some fantastic highlights over the last few years, grilling some high-level people in Congress. And so now he's going to be in charge of some of those agencies. So that's going to be huge. And so the deep state has just got to be, they're freaking out.
Let me show you one of these grilling moments with FBI Director Christopher Wray.
Like who's been in on this conspiracy to hide the real Joe Biden from all of us for years? It never occurred to you that this guy wasn't up to it in all these briefings you did?
As I said, my briefings with the president have all been completely fine.
Were they between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
He's asked questions. There hasn't been anything of note in the area that you're talking about.
Yeah, did you ever have to brief him before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m.? We hear those are as good hours.
I've certainly times that I have briefed have included outside those hours.
Right. Okay. I just,
Right. Okay.
I think the American people want to know how we got to this point with someone who's so diminished his own party has basically put him out to pasture. And since you had close proximity and the vice president had close proximity, I'm just kind of wondering if you were being straight with all of us about how things were going with him. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
You can count on me to be straight with you, sir.
We'll see.
That's hilarious, Blake. You can count on me. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Gaetz holds people to the fire. That is what you want to see. It's always what you want to see. Yeah, I mean, there's 100 different things where Gaetz has stood up and done great jobs. Some of these are 5-minute long clips. I don't want to play them all. I was wondering if I had a quicker one. Well, how about this one? I'll just play you a second of the Hunter Biden laptop because they perpetuated a hoax on the American people is the long and short of it. And Gaetz was trying to hold them accountable.
Do you know where Hunter Biden's laptop is?
again, I'm not going to talk about any potential ongoing investigation as I sit here.
Do you know where it is?
I'm not going to talk about any ongoing investigation.
You come here and you tell us you follow the facts and the law, but you can't even follow a laptop that you guys have had for 3 years.
We follow the facts and the law, and we speak in open court about our cases.
But you aren't speaking about this. But you know who is speaking about it? The whistleblowers from the FBI who've gone to Senator Grassley and said that you guys purposefully take any information that is derogatory about Hunter Biden and you go and rat hole it so that you never have to speak about it in any circumstance. But the good news is you're not the only ones with that laptop. So Patrick Ho was convicted of bribing government officials in Africa, and he gave $1 million to Hunter Biden. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not going to speak about any ongoing investigation.
Is that an ongoing?
I can assure
is
you
that an ongoing investigation?
I'm not going to speak about any potential ongoing investigation.
Don't you see that degrades the country's belief in you guys when you have whistleblowers saying that you're purposefully rat holing this information, and then you come here and say you won't talk about it? I mean, inside Hunter Biden's multi-million-dollar deals with a Chinese energy company, Washington Post, Matt Vizier, Chinese elite paid $31 million to Hunter and the Biden.
All right, so you get what he's doing over there. I just want to hit you with one more real quick. Share this tab instead. This is in front of Alejandro Mayorkas, perhaps the worst human being on earth.
2 million encounters and releases under your watch. So not including the Title 42 expulsions, not including violent criminals. Of those 2 million plus that you've encountered and released, how many have you told to go home?
Congressman, individuals who are released are placed in immigration enforcement proceedings under the law where they can make their claim for relief. If their claim for relief is not satisfied, they are subject to removal from the United States.
Right, subject to removal sounds very different than actually removed. So I'm not interested in the process. I'm not interested in what people are subject to. 2 million people encountered and released, not the
Gaetz is very clear when he speaks. He's very organized. He's very detailed.
Expulsions under Title 42, not the criminals. How many of those people have you deported?
So, Congressman, a few points. Number one.
Just how many of the people? I just want to know how many. It's just a number.
Congressman, we are dealing with a completely broken immigration system.
No, Mr. Secretary, I'm not going to let you burn my 5 minutes. Do you know the answer? Do you know the number of people out of that 2 million that you've removed that aren't criminals?
I do know that we have removed more aggravated felons.
Right, I'm not asking about them. I've caveated that away because here's what I'm sort of getting and what your non-responsiveness is demonstrating. The Mayorkas doctrine is this. If you show up.
And look at his smug, smarmy body language. Looking down his nose at you, literally. Mayorkas.
At the border and get released into the country. If you don't commit a specific aggravated felony, which, by the way, doesn't include a lot of assault and battery, doesn't include a lot of bad domestic violence. But if you're not one of the people who commit those crimes, you get to stay forever. Is that a fair characterization of your doctrine?
No, that is false.
Then tell me how many you're sending home.
No, that is false.
Okay, well, but you don't know the number of how many you've sent home. Here's another number.
He doesn't know it, and I like that Gaetz holds him to the fire on that. Okay, Blake is bouncing in and out. I'm not sure what's occurring there. But let me go ahead and switch the screen and talk about this one. Oh, here we go. All right, agree, disagree that we should urge the FBI to probe the Tulsi Gabbard selection. Tulsi Gabbard has been selected to be the head of the Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard was famously put on a terror no-fly list, a watch list. I'm sorry, not a no-fly list. Not in enhanced interrogation screenings. What do they call it? Just an extra. Blake, what do they call it? What list did they put Tulsi Gabbard on with the flight list?
Terror watch list.
Right? It was called the terror watch list.
Or something? Yeah.
So do you agree or disagree that we should urge the FBI to probe the Tulsi Gabbard selection?
Hell no.
Hell no.
No, it's insane that they're trying to do that, but that is what John Bolton is also saying. So, yes, he's...
there was a second part to the Bolton clip, or did we cut it off too soon?
No, in that clip, he just says, I thought Tulsi was the worst pick until they did Matt Gaetz.
Oh, okay.
let me run this. Yeah, one quick tweet I will share from one of your favorite people.
I have favorite people?
Is this the one?
I don't know if I. Tulsi's one of my favorite.
Krasensteins. No, you love the Krasenstein brothers, don't you?
I did reach out to him once just to see how it would go.
Yeah, they're so disingenuous. They're awful people. They really are. They have no intention of having an open and honest conversation. So I was like, why are you even bothering tagging them? I don't know how closely you follow them, but they're off. Anyway, so he puts this tweet out. Ed says they put Tulsi Gabbard on a terror watch list. Now she's going to be Director of National Intelligence, the biggest FU to national intelligence. I think that's great. But you notice the top comment says, you got to love this. We should not be abusing the anti-terrorism laws and using them as political weapons.
The Obama doctrine, abusing your political enemies through lawfare and civil rights violating crimes. For Obama, who's been preaching about civil rights like it's the 1960s or the 1860s, that guy has more criminal behavior under his belt. I mean, he's going to be in the top 50 on the Mount Rushmore of people that are going to be charged. Lord willing, fingers crossed. I mean, the damage done by Obama is the ringleader of most of this. Clinton, what have you. But yeah, he's the one that's been abusing the departments as political weapons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and Eric Holder, all that group. But yes. So Ed's trying to say, oh, there must have been a reason why she was on that list. And someone else said, brilliant, isn't it? She's going to be DNI. And he says, well, if you don't care about national intelligence. So, yeah, he's getting roasted in the comments, and he's got nothing to say.
She's a hero. We need her in it. I was hoping she would maybe have a different role. I don't know that it's DNI. Where did Radcliffe end up? Is Radcliffe on our list? I don't think he's on.
He's CIA, I believe.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. I wonder where Cash is going to land.
I've heard rumors about FBI, but I don't know. They said that whoever's going to take FBI might be even more explosive than Gaetz. So maybe that's a Cash Patel. I don't really know.
Roger Stone.
I don't know.
Make it Alex Jones. Just go scorched earth. Like, I don't know. We'll see who they pick.
Somebody that'll clean house. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm excited that the Tulsi has her position confirmed now, and good luck to her. I know she was one of my brother's favorites in this political realm of people that you can't really have favorites. You can't trust any of them, but you know, the ones that do a decent job, you really do have to support. The Thomas Masseys, the Tulsis, the RFKs. Like if they got some good stuff working for them, let's double down on that. All right. Do we have anything else on Tulsi and her contribution?
I thought I had one. Let me see if I can.
By the way, while Blake looks for it, follow Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X. Follow the New American Media at American_media_. I love that streak of gray in her hair. It makes her look like Storm from what is that? The Marvel, like the comics. Am I thinking the right?
I don't know the difference. Was it like Marvel versus Capcom? I mean, I've seen some of the movies. I like them, but I'm not a nerd level with those who's who and which universe or whatnot. But she looks great. And yeah, I'm really happy for her. She got a very nice position. I think maybe she should have gotten something like, DHS or something maybe a little bit bigger. I would have rather seen her as Secretary of State. We haven't gotten to all the cabinet members, but there's some that I really like, and especially Tulsi and with Matt Gaetz, and some I don't like. But we can get to those.
But what I was, what I'm hearing about the Rubio pick, by the way, is I'm hearing rumors that he has resigned now and that Laura Trump is going to take that post. I'm trying to confirm if that's confirmed.
Well,
being rumored.
Yeah, I did see that. And certainly they have to take a spot. So like Matt Gaetz, he already put his resignation in. He's no longer in Congress. Now he's going to be the Attorney General. They replace him with, whatever Republican. But yes, with Rubio leaving his Senate seat, they're going to fill it perhaps with Lara Trump. And then,
so let's think about it. Either we're going to have a situation where Rubio surprises. I think he might be our least favorite of the picks, or top three least favorite.
Yeah. And it's a huge position. Huge. Secretary of State is a massive.
It is.
Now, number 3.
Let's imagine it this way, Blake. It dawned on me as I was responding to somebody's post, and I go, "Oh, I typed something and went, wow, wait a minute." So if Rubio already resigned, he's out of Congress, and if the House and Senate and making up the congressional body, so he's out of the Senate, and if he does a good job, that's gonna be awesome. All right, maybe we're not expecting that, but maybe he will. But if he doesn't, he no longer has a Senate spot. It's been filled with somebody who's more MAGA, and he's gone. He can be fired. So he stepped out onto the plank. I mean, that's a risky spot for him to put himself in, and that would be the possibility of addition through subtraction and an addition on the other side of it. So either it works out and it could be great, or man, he might have miscalculated this. Any thoughts on that? Am I overthinking that?
No, I mean, it's an interesting maneuver if that's what they want to do, or 5D chess move to get rid of Rubio. Not that I think he's that big of a target. To me, he's kind of like Kamala Harris, except he's he's a better speaker. But I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, how did that guy get to be getting the ranks that high? How is he a senator? I could see like if he was Congressman Rubio, but yeah, he's like he was placed there.
Maybe he does as he's told very well.
That's exactly what he's a puppet for the neocons,
is what it seems to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, let the neocons run their Secretary of State stuff. Keep an eye on them and know where their allegiance is. Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer. I don't know if we discussed the secret vote that they had. I think they had that on Wednesday in between our two shows, and then they did not put Rick Scott in. Rick Scott had the 95 career rating, and they were battling between Cornyn and the other guy who had 65 and 66, Thune, like the two worst people you could imagine. And of course, they have a secret meeting and pick Cornyn, one of the awful people. I mean, any thoughts on that? We're kind of talking right past that, but that happened yesterday. It's all happening so fast. It's hard to keep up on all of it. But are you surprised Rick Scott didn't get that, and that Trump kind of just seems to be backing him, and that Thune is just Cornyn, he's coming in and just saying, we're going to push the agenda. We're going to move fast. We're going to get it done. I'm eager to work with Trump. And, fingers crossed, just like when you got rid of McCarthy and you put Speaker Johnson in, you go, I don't like this guy either, but I don't know, let's see how it goes. And Johnson doesn't seem to be obstructing too much so far. Maybe it could work out. Any thoughts on the speaker role or the Senate?
Yeah, fingers crossed, because he doesn't seem to be well liked. He doesn't have a very good Liberty score. He's been highly critical of Trump. He's wanted Pence. He's absolutely 100% neocon. But he's a better speaker, I guess, than say Rick Scott, who is kind of awkward and weird, even though he's got a good score. That's fine to have him as an asset to just put good votes in. That's fine, but he would have been awkward perhaps as a speaker. I'm just surprised they couldn't do something better. I would have liked to see, Rand Paul. I guess Thomas Massey's leaving anyway, but, somebody like that rather than another swamp creature. And I don't think they should be meddling in that anyway. We talked about that on another show, as that why is the old guard from the prior, why are they setting this up now? Why can't they wait? I don't know, but...
by the way, thanks to Larry Fletcher saying it was from X-Men. I think I said Marvel. It's from X-Men, and there's the character with the streak in her hair. That's who Tulsi.
X-Men, Marvel, or Capcom? I don't
know, man. It says, I don't know. Whatever it is, but it's that character right there. Thank you for that. And they're talking about celebrities in the chat room, and Gyps Liberty says Hulk Hogan. Yeah, because Hulk Hogan. Not all celebrities are against Trump. Against Trump, we have Hulk Hogan and the lady with the streak in her hair. So we have superstars and wrestling. Cool. Okay, back to this. What about Pete Hesgeth? Is he the least qualified defense secretary in history, Blake? Would you agree or disagree with that characterization?
Well, I will say that came from somebody I respect a lot.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the mixed reviews.
Is it Kathy Griffin?
Again, fingers crossed. There are things that I can kind of like about Pete, but there's major red flags as well. And somebody I like, who you've had on the show before, Brian, Gerald Celente.
I have had Gerald on the Agree to Disagree show, and I should get Judge Andrew Napolitano on as well. Another legend.
Right. Well, they frequently collaborate and do shows, and they were not fans of Pete Hesgeth. So let's roll this clip. Not as a person, but just in some of his policies. So let's check this one out.
Last night, the Trump team announced the designation of my friend and colleague from Fox and Friends, Pete Hesgeth, to be Secretary of Defense. Pete is extremely articulate, extremely likable, but probably the least qualified Secretary of Defense in history.
So just to be fair, yes, he had high praise, good guy, smart guy, but not qualified.
He is an ardent Zionist. The Secretary of Defense should be able to employ strategic reasoning, have management skills, have empathy, and be able to articulate policy. He's very smart. He can certainly articulate policy. He has no strategic reasoning, absolutely zero management skills to run the largest organization on the
I don't know how he knows that.
with 2.5 million employees, half civilian, half military. He has no empathy. He told Joe Biden that Biden should bomb cultural sites in Tehran. Now, Biden had done that. The Russians would be bombing cultural sites in Colorado. I mean, this is just outrageous advice to give the President of the United States. The Secretary of Defense should be a stopgap on a bellicose president to warn him of the natural and probable consequences of his executed bellicosity. Pete Hesgeth, for all of his charm and grace, and he has a lot of it, will be an enabler to Donald Trump, not a stopgap.
Okay, so there we have it. I mean, I can just go through a few of these other articles here. I mean,
yes, we're entering lightning round time. We got about 7 minutes left. Yes.
Oh, 7 minutes left? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm already. I'll get us a little wiggle room.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I can make this quick. Let's do quick rounds here. Caitlin Johnstone, of course, it's very liberal. Saying the incoming Trump administration is already filling up with war sluts. You've got Trump picking Fox News, Pete Hesgeth for Secretary of Defense. Kind of. Also, one of the alarming things is kind of tied up with Bill Kristol, which I don't like to see. They made the Zionist connection. You've got Ben Shapiro, of course, celebrating Trump and the Israel First cabinet. But then you've got the Federalist says Pete is the perfect candidate to get the Pentagon's bureaucratic rot. I've seen, Mike Adams, the health ranger, has been very critical. I'm trying to think. He's a dangerous end times religious fanatic who could start World War III. But then Brian Gaetz here, who I like, is saying, Trump is bringing in the hatchet men. Tulsi and Gaetz. And yes, here's Pete. So, yeah, there's good and bad. Again, fingers crossed. He's an outsider. Maybe he'll shake things up. He seems interesting enough, but there are some major red flags. And there's a lot of Ziocons in here. So, and I don't care. It's not an anti-Israel thing, but it's why do we have so many people with such tight ties with Israel in these upper-level cabinet positions? Imagine what our forefathers would think, like if we just had like we had allies with France against Britain. But we didn't have a whole bunch of high-level French people in the cabinet because then are we working for France? Are we working for America? So are we America first or are we Israel first? Now, I quite would get into whether they're a great ally or not. It's something that people need to know, is that we have to have our foreign policy with the right people. And those are some red flags. I'm not saying they're bad. Fingers crossed, everything's going to be great, but we do have to keep that in mind.
Things to keep an eye on. What about Department of Homeland Security? Would we have been better off just abolishing it instead of putting?
That's another Federalist article. Trump shouldn't hire Kristi Noem. This is another one that was a questionable pick. She seems all right, cool. She's the governor of South Dakota. That's cool. She's very pretty. She's got some interesting little stories about her and memorable, I don't know.
There are rumors that have circulated, of course. And then, of course, the dog story that made it into her memoirs that might have kept her away from vice president, by the way. She might have been the leading candidate for vice president right when that story came out and her likability dropped through.
Yeah, that was bad. So she's kind of out of touch. I mean, yeah, when you're out, South Dakota, I guess that's kind of expected to some extent. So it's weird for her to go from that position to the head of Department of Homeland Security to basically take Mayorkas's job. I thought this was way too extreme of a promotion for her. So not that I even dislike her. But
I mean, someone like Mayorkas should have never been around that position of power. The guy is completely anti-American.
I agree, but he's good at what he does. He's
good at being bad.
In an evil way, right?
He's good at being bad. I'll take somebody that's bad at being good, as long as they're not good at being bad. If I got to pick, and it's not like Pete Buttigieg was qualified to take over transportation secretary.
Yeah, but that's transportation. Like, who cares about that?
Yeah, but your question was, should we just abolish DHS anyway? It's not even an important agency. It's a redundancy from the Patriot Act era, right?
Yeah, so maybe that should be the ultimate goal here, is not to make, put her on a pedestal and give her too much power. Why not just get rid of the DHS entirely?
All right.
They really serve a useful function at this point, or scale them down, something. But yeah, I have big questions on this pick.
Gotcha. All right. What
about you? What do you think? What's your take on Noem as running the Department of Homeland Security? You think this is the right pick?
I mean, I would love to see who she was in consideration against. Compare her. I would like to see a few other names and kind of look at their resume and do that. I don't know who's most qualified to be Homeland Security. Ken Paxton, down in Texas? Someone from Texas would be a great Sheriff Joe Arpaio. I mean, I know he's old, but I mean, I would like
Kerry Lake,
a border state that really gets it, maybe on a personal level. But I mean, we'll see. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Kerry Lake would have been phenomenal, but I mean, maybe she can still somehow win the Senate seat there because something is shady there in Maricopa. There's no way that Trump won, but somehow they voted for Trump, but then they voted for Ruben Gallego. Give me a break. No.
Oh yeah. By the way, go to CISA.gov/rumor control because they don't want to hear that Ruben Gallego could that it's possible that Kerry Lake is getting shafted in Arizona. There's a thing underneath. Right. Okay, just a couple quick questions.
No.
What do you got here? Adam Schiff, Matt Gaetz.
No, he's terrified that Matt Gaetz is the attorney general. I think that's hilarious. Okay, that's all I had on that one.
All right, he should be. All right, two other breaking news stories that we want to talk about here, and then we're going to wrap today's show up. Immediately followed with Strictly Football. I got Mike Barra in the waiting room in theory. Okay, Blake, agree or disagree that InfoWars will be better than ever after the new rebranding?
No, this is going to be insane. So yeah, that was one of the big surprises. This is a huge, weird churn of events. Is that the Onion? So like the Babylon Bee, but see that they haven't had much of an impact the last few years.
Oh yeah, they've gone Babylon Bee has replaced them.
Yeah, they haven't been very good for a long time. They used to be great. With their satire. Babylon Bee just took them and eclipsed them. And I just thought they were irrelevant. I didn't know people were still looking at the Onion. Not that I have anything against it. They're just not funny anymore. But apparently, how did they have enough money to purchase InfoWars at their auction? So something is very unusual about that. I don't know where Brian was going to go with that when he was going to be mentioning InfoWars today and what happened with the auction.
Well, what I was going to say is that it didn't go to the highest bidder, is what Alex is saying. And every auction goes to the highest bidder. So there were people there who wanted to buy it for Alex, and they were denied the opportunity to do so. So I mean, this whole thing is just a continuation of the Obama doctrine, going after your political opponents, trying to ruin them. Even if he had some bad stuff to say, and even if he, the rendering of $1 quadrillion times a bazillion, it's just insane that you render people to the netherworlds where they can't exist on social media, they can't earn a living. I mean, come on. This is cruel and unusual punishment by the court system. You don't have to like Alex, you don't have to, but you could also say, well, he's batting 94%. Compare that to CNN that's batting about 20%. Tell me who should be fined and kicked off the air and penalized and have their media empire destroyed. I think MSNBC deserves to have that happen. And by the way, Jack Posobiec was joking about putting together a team of investors down in Florida to purchase MSNBC that's rumored to be on the sale block. I don't know if that's a joke or legitimate, but either way, who would want it? They're not paying anything for it, except that it's a deep state mouthpiece propaganda outlet. So it doesn't really care about money the same way that Twitter didn't care about money because it was a deep state asset and they could hemorrhage money and have a big bloated, the Kamala campaign pays Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Studios $1 million, then they come out and endorse them. And it's just this big money laundering, greasy orgy, like a Diddy party circle jerk of just millions here and millions there, but it all stays within their gross little oiled up pool party situation with the inflatable rafts. That's what's going on here. So it's interesting. Here's why I decided to buy InfoWars is the story. Blake, if you share that out on X, I want to read that. Take a look. I don't know. But yeah, the onion has really fallen off over the past 10, 20 years for sure. Babylon Bee.
Yeah, so I guess they're going to try to keep it as a sort of a satire site. But it's going to be, I don't know, they're just going to be poking fun at conspiracy theories. But they're the ones that have been spreading the conspiracies for years.
Exactly. That's exactly what they've been doing. The other thing that they bought is the consumer, the customer list. So they bought all of the names and addresses and contact information for all of the customers who have ever bought anything from InfoWars store. So get ready.
Oh, they're allowed to do that. Okay, well, I haven't bought anything from them in several years.
Don't worry, you're still on the list.
I wonder if I'm in there.
You're still on the list.
Old address, old emails. I don't know. So go ahead.
We're all on a list is the point. So we might as well get used to it. Okay, going after Alex, and our final story here is going after the PolyMarket CEO. Final story on the day.
Well, we did miss this one. Just quick yes or no lightning round. What do you think, Scott Jennings, as the press secretary?
If you have a greatest hit pulled up, let's hear it.
Well, it's just one clip. He's got several of them.
Great.
There's a bunch where he's on CNN. I'm surprised they allowed him on there. They were notorious.
Blake, I'm not kidding you. I'm going to apply for CNN. I'm going to say, I am someone that would jump in and have a sane voice amongst your craziness. If you'll pay me and allow me to speak, I would love to jump into your Looney Tune village and destroy you with some facts. I would love it.
Right. Well, he destroyed this leftist with facts, and it was funny. He's got a lot of great moments. He's slick. He knows what he's doing, and he's not afraid to mix it up in a hostile environment, even when it's like 1 on 8. So this is great versus like the 5, where it's like one leftist is like cartoonishly wacky and just gets beat up on, which is fun. But yeah, it's 8 on 1, and he's still kicking their ass. So it's good. It's good. So I think he's definitely given himself a front runner. Or maybe they had a few in the Trump administration last time, so maybe give him a shot. I don't know. Seems to have earned it. But that was all I had on that one. This is what InfoWars looks like right now. There's nothing available while it's in this transition. Site unavailable till further notice. And then I think the last one you put up was, this is our last story, is the PolyMarket guy. The CEO's home was raided by the fucking FBI. For what? Because they predicted Trump's victory? I don't know. This is insane. But I mean, they went after the Telegram guy too. So PolyMarket, largest prediction market, the online, it enables users to place bets on outcome of global events, including sporting events and elections. They predicted a 56% chance Trump would beat Biden. That was in May. Then in October, they also ran another poll where it looked like Trump was going to win. Yeah, 87%.
I think that's closer to the legitimate number in the country, by the way.
It could be. I would say I would say 70 something. Yeah,
80, 75, 3 to 1.
Yeah, they'd have to clean out all these states that don't require voter ID and see what the numbers actually look like. And then in the swing states where Trump actually still won, but then for some reason, like the Democrat senators also won, which didn't make any sense. Anyway, so PolyMarket was right. It was a clean sweep. And I guess Big Brother was not amused. And they decided Wednesday, Chris Wray's FBI raided PolyMarket CEO Shane Copland's New York City home, and they confiscated computers and phones. So it's like a kind of a chill effect, but I don't know if they
story to keep an eye on, because now it's kind of like, well, they're going to try to say that they cheated their way into the election. That's something about the gambling. We'll see. It's ridiculous. You bet where you feel the winds of change headed, and you stay there. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled on it. We're just learning about it, but it's very interesting. The Obama doctrine once again is going after political opponents, weaponizing the injustice system, and that stuff is about to stop. But Blake, I just have one final question: when in the world do you get to get fired from your job and then hang out for 2 more months to cause as much damage as possible without getting walked out of the building? When you're fired, you get walked out of the building by security. You are not allowed to hang out and then go back to the trunk of your car and let everybody know that you had a bad day and I'll show them. No, you're removed from the premises. What do we do in America where you let these people clearly fired for dereliction of duty, treason, malfeasance, ineptitude? Why do they get to stick around for 2 months?
Yeah, it's just how the nature of the lame duck period. So it's going to take a while to transition. Now, I'm not too worried about like the lawmakers and such. I don't know if they can really pass a lot, but they could. They could do something sneaky, but then maybe the next Congress would nullify it, or maybe Trump would, executive orders. I don't know exactly entirely how that works. I don't think that's usually a problem, but I am worried about, say, the FBI, the CIA, the DHS. They are probably going to be shredding a lot of documents in the next few months. And there could be absolutely some sabotage from within. So I'm so happy that, Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard or Kristi Noem, the new CIA guy, Waltz. It's going to be exciting for them to be able to clean house. These are badly needed, but these are also these places have a lot of secrets.
Absolutely.
And they want to protect themselves so they don't face retaliation. So yeah, it would be nice to see the U.S. Marshals go in there and say, hey, you guys are all gone. But unfortunately, we just have to let this process take a while, and it takes a couple months to turn that all over.
All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled on it. Larry was just adding a note here saying that some of the Sandy Hook people went in on it with the Onion with Alex's money to buy it. Yeah, very interesting. See how that places, how that parses out. Alex is streaming now. He's got a new site. I don't know what it is. I don't work for him, so I won't tell you. But go find him if you want to. Larry saying, great show today. I rarely get to watch live. Thank you for watching. Frankie, positive vibes are in the air. Yes, they are indeed. And it's positively time to wrap this show up. So we're going to hit end, and then I'm going to relaunch with Mike Barra, Seahawks fan. We're going to talk strictly football on the other side here. Yes, arrest them all, Larry. I agree.
Are you guys going early today?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. All right. Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to hold you up.
All right. So tell people where to find you and tell them about the documentary one more time on our way out.
Okay. Yeah. With Hurricane Helene, help us on the way. Find it on YouTube. You can find it on my website, thenextlevelnews.com. It's the archive, all the shows, that stuff, which I'm updating because I'm in the process of moving. But yes, good stuff in North Carolina. And I think that's it. You can follow me on TV's Blake Walley on Twitter. And you can stay tuned for Brian and Mike doing the football segment. So
jump out if you want to talk football. You always have an open invitation, literally every single time.
Yeah, that's right. The Vikings playing in Tennessee in my backyard this week. So,
bro, you're right here. You're right here. Okay, seriously, jump in if you ever want to, including in 4 minutes. And thank you, Blake. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you.
There he goes. And make sure you're following the New American Media in all of the places on Spotify, the podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, Rumble, the New American Media, YouTube, the New American Media, Facebook, the New American Media, True Social, the New American Media, on Signal and Telegram, we're TNAM for the New American Media, TNAM and TNAM Chat, TNAM and TNAM Chat. Find us in all the places. Patreon.com/the New American Media as well. All right, I'm going to hit reset and I'll be right back on the other side talking about some football. I appreciate every one of you joining today's program.